Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Mediocre Mama. My name is Ruth. I am mum to two children, Jack who is 5 and Lily who is 1. I welcome you back. This is my second video and today what I really want to talk about is hypnobirthing. I just thought with everything that's going on right now with COVID and uncertainty with birth and being in hospitals and all the rest of it, that it would be a really great time to talk about hypnobirthing. And hopefully for some of you who are on your journey with pregnancy, who are trying to find out more about hypnobirthing, or who've already had a child and are going through it again and trying to find a better alternative with how to cope with birth the second time round, that I might be able to offer some helpful advice and tips. So I have two experiences of giving birth. Jack, who is now 5, that birth was without using hypnobirthing, and Lily, who is now 1, is my other experience of birth using hypnobirthing, and the two births were so different, which is really why now I'm quite passionate about hypnobirthing, and if I were to have another baby I would definitely use this technique again. For those of you who aren't too familiar with hypnobirthing, it's a technique you can use during birth. You can use visualizations, affirmations, breathing techniques and hypnosis to try and get through birth calmly and focused, without losing control and without freaking out, which is what I did with my first birth. So with my first pregnancy I attended an NCT class, which I do really recommend. I loved NCT and I loved the support that it gave as a first time mum, and I made some great mum friends through that whole process. And we did touch on pain relief, and I think 5 years ago hypnobirthing maybe wasn't really talked about as much as it is now. So it was very lightly touched upon, like just a sentence of what it was. And I think sometimes a lot of people might think it sounds a bit like a hippie theory, hypnotizing yourself or something during labour. So I didn't even look into it at all. So with my first birth, I really thought, just by researching the different drugs available, I knew I wanted to have a water birth. I knew I wanted to use gas and air. I knew I didn't want to use anything else. And I felt so confident. I prepared everything in my mind and talked through with my husband everything I wanted to do and how I wanted it to go. And so I thought mainly about pain relief and what I wanted to use. Okay, water birth, gas and air. But I didn't give for 1 second a thought to how I was going to be able to control my feelings and emotions and how I was going to cope. Over the last few years, I have been using a book called The Secret. I don't know if many of you know about this book. And some of you might be wondering where I'm going with this, but a lot of what I learned from The Secret, law of attraction, positive affirmations, meditation, have got me through some really tricky situations in my life. So when I read further into hypnobirthing, and I had friends who had used hypnobirthing for their births, it made me really want to look into it further, because it had some kind of correlation with what I've been applying to everyday life anyway. So I started to really look into it when I was pregnant with my second baby, and also I was very fortunate enough to be looked after during my second pregnancy by a company called One-to-One Midwives. Now, this company were government funded, and it was NHS care. They were based in my area up in the northwest of England, and sadly they're not running anymore because the government didn't want to fund them anymore. But the point of that midwifery company was to give women kind of like private healthcare, but NHS funded. So it meant I had one appointed midwife throughout my whole pregnancy, and she was absolutely amazing. And she came to my house for all my appointments. They had their own centres for the scans, and it was lovely. You could bring family along. They were just so lovely, and they did this hypnobirthing course for free with us, with other mums, which ran over 2 days. And it also then led me to have a home birth because they specialised in home births. So my home birth I will talk about another time in another video, because obviously using Hypnobirth, not everyone's going to have a home birth, and that's fine because this technique can be applied in hospital. You don't need to be at home, and of course it can be used at home in the lead up as well, especially before you go into hospital. So my birth with Lily, my second baby, was so different. Now don't get me wrong, it was still extremely painful. There is no denying how much labour and birth does hurt. And I don't want to panic anybody. I think it's just something we all know is going to hurt. But how do we deal with that pain in the right way? So using Hypnobirth, my birth with Lily was much more calm, focused. It was quicker. I was relaxed. I felt more in control. I was able to carry on with my day and look after my first child at home, things like reading him stories, putting him to bed, having dinner. And labour was still going on through all of this, but it was just about how I could focus my mind, not freak out, not panic, and just by relaxing, allowing my body to get on and do the job that it is intended to do, and that is to birth my baby. So there are 6 main techniques you can use for hypnobirthing. We have visualization, birth affirmations, relaxation, deep breathing, self-hypnosis, and mindfulness. So in order to prepare for hypnobirthing, I know there are a lot of courses out there that you can pay for. Some of them are quite expensive. The 2-day course that I did with my midwives, I didn't have to pay for. And it was, quite a basic course, but it gave me all the pointers that I needed to go and practice hypnobirthing. But there are so many resources out there. You don't need to go and spend a lot of money. There are amazing books and videos on YouTube with all the techniques that you need to practice. So I used this book, which is the Hypnobirthing book by Catherine Graves. This is an excellent tool for hypnobirthing, and actually it's the only book I used. I know there's some other amazing books out there, but this was the one that my midwife recommended and that I used, and it came with some free MP3 downloads to practice your hypnosis and meditation. And this book is really just all about how hypnobirthing can just absolutely empower you in birth, not make you scared and tense and afraid, but really to just give you that confidence and make it a positive experience. And even though you know that birth is going to be painful and a process that you just have to get through, you'll be able to look back and know that you had the best experience you possibly could. Now, hypnobirthing isn't going to promise or guarantee that you will have a natural birth and that nothing will go wrong, because we know things can happen at any time. But the point of hypnobirthing is that no matter the circumstance, no matter what changes or happens, you will remain calm and in control and be able to use the techniques that you learn to get through any situation, and you will, I promise. So lots of YouTube videos and this book will teach you about the different breathing techniques that you'll need to use. The up breathing and the down breathing through different stages of labour. These breathing techniques are so important because at any point where you start to panic, you can just focus back on that breathing and it will bring you right back down to that feeling of calm. The hypnosis side of it I loved. And I used to, every night before bed, put in my headphones or play out loud the hypnosis tracks that you can actually get from Catherine Graves. You need to find tracks that you enjoy listening to, because you might not like the sound of her voice or someone else's voice. So you've just got to find what works for you, and just to be able to lay calmly and have your mind taken somewhere else, so that you're not focusing on that pain. If you focus on that pain, you're going to tense up, you're going to panic, and if all you can think about is that pain, it's just going to slow the whole process down and just make it a really bad experience for you. So if you are able to channel your mind and your thoughts somewhere else that is peaceful and calm and positive, it will have that same effect on your body. Visualization and birth affirmations are also really important, because it's about visualizing and deciding how you want your birth to go. So not saying, oh, what if this goes wrong, or I know I'm going to have a terrible time, and just know it. If you say those kind of things, then it's probably likely that that is what will happen. So to be able to daily have affirmations and visualizations that, you know, you are going to birth that baby, you are going to be confident and strong, you are going to get through it, your baby is going to be born into this world exactly the way you want it to be. Just to focus on that positivity of birth is so important, and it gives you a real focus, and it makes you feel a lot more confident and a lot more in control. Using these techniques as well will allow you not to start worrying and freaking out like I did, but to trust your body and know that everything that's happening and everything that you're feeling is for a reason, and it's working towards bringing your baby to you. And with every surge, every contraction, whatever you want to call it, is bringing you a step closer to your baby. So don't make that contraction or that surge a negative thing. It's bringing you closer to having that baby in your arms. So one of the things I did for my birth was to look for on the internet positive birth affirmations that I could print out and stick around the room. So during labour, you know, if I was to look up or look around, I just had words of positivity all around me, and this has such a positive and amazing impact on you. Another thing during birth that I did differently this time was to have the tracks playing during labour. So all that practice that you do where you're listening to the guided meditation and the self-hypnosis, I did read that if you play it loud, when you practice, your baby starts to hear this voice daily when you practice, and they start to associate this voice with calm, and mum is calm when she listens to this voice. So that when you do go into labour and you play these tracks, it's a familiar sound to baby. It's familiar for you to remember to remain calm, and it also allows baby to remain calm. And I think that is really important. So it was really lovely to be playing these tracks during labour, to remind me that I could take my mind somewhere else more calm, and also to just have peaceful tracks on. With my first birth, I didn't listen to anything. I didn't listen to any kind of music. My mind was not focused anywhere else except on the pain, and that is what really was the worst thing for me to do. Another thing I used was essential oils. So I bought this from Amazon, which is an oil diffuser, and you just unscrew the top and you put your oils in and some water, and then it kind of puffs out the top, and also it has you can set the lights, so it does some really lovely calming lighting. And I went to a special shop for my oils, and they were really so very helpful and talked me through all the different scents and essential oils they have. And they let me smell a few, and it can just depend on what you want to smell. Don't pick something that you're not going to like the smell of. But I got the clary sage oil, which helps to bring on your surges. So it's very important that you don't use this unless you are in labour. But yes, it helps to bring on your surges if things are ever at all slowing down for you, and just to bring back that calmness in your body. So I also put the clary sage on a piece of tissue when I wasn't in water, and I was walking around my home. I would just now and again keep sniffing it on the tissue, and that was really calming and lovely. And then I have bergamot and lavender. So this is more of a citrusy smell, and lavender is obviously very, very calming. So the two just went really well together. But you can get lots of advice on essential oils, and you can go to shops and have a sniff of all the different oils and find something that works for you. So my hypnobirthing, I had amazing, beautiful, calming music, hypnosis tapes. I had low lighting. I had beautiful scented oils that I could smell. I was surrounded by positive birth affirmations, and all of this going on around me just created the most calm atmosphere for me to get through this labour. Throughout the day, by using my breathing techniques, I was able to just carry on with a normal day, look after my child. He knew I was having surges, and he was really looking after me. He was so sweet. But I was able to have dinner with him, and because I was having a home birth, I was able to put him to bed, read him his stories, and just remain calm and focused. Every time I had a surge, I was able to just take myself away to a place of calm, and then when it passed, carry on. But as soon as he went to bed, I went and lay down on my bed, and I listened to my hypnosis. And I think sometimes we're told, keep moving around, keep moving, get those surges coming on. But sometimes all your body wants is a moment of calm. And so as soon as I lay down, and I lay down for 2 hours on my side, listening to my self-hypnosis tape from Catherine Graves. And as soon as I finished with that, after 2 hours, I stood up and my waters went. And 2 hours later, my baby was born at home in the pool. It's not to say it was all plain sailing. I'm not going to say hypnobirthing is magic. It takes a lot of focus, a lot of preparation, a lot of practice. And I really struggled with the transition stage in labour, where you're kind of going from the surges to you're about to give birth. I think it's that point where we all start to suddenly we don't know what we're doing, and we start yelling, I can't do this, oh my god, I can't do this. And I did have a moment of, I cannot do this, I need to go to hospital. And up until this point, I've been using all my techniques, and I just had a little moment of freaking out. But my midwife was amazing. She reminded me to keep calm. My husband brought me back, to my breathing and my concentration and my focus. And my midwife at that point went and got gas and air for me. So I used the gas and air as an aid to bring my breathing back under control. And by doing that, my baby was born 15 minutes later. So I just needed to come back to that state of relaxation so that baby could be born. With my first birth, I heavily relied on gas and air. And when I went into hospital, they warned me, if you have it now, it's too soon, and later on it won't have an effect. And I was like, no, I need it. And I think I had gas and air for about 8 hours, and they were so right. By the end of that 8 hours, it had no effect at all. And I always said, I don't see what the big deal is about gas and air, it does nothing. But I can say that from using it this time round, and for only 15 minutes, it had an amazing effect. So definitely using it for 8 hours is not the answer. And I really felt it the next day in my mouth and my jaw from biting down for 8 hours on gas and air. So I just wish I had known about hypnobirthing 5 years ago, because I was so fortunate to have such a straightforward birth that if I could have just used these techniques, I would have been so much calmer and in control. I just didn't know where to place my mind. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know how to handle the pain. But hypnobirthing will really help. I promise it will really help. So I really recommend that if you are thinking about hypnobirth, that you go and do some research, get some books, get some tracks, start practicing the breathing and start preparing. And so long as you put it in your birth plan, midwives can be very accommodating to the hypnobirthing, making sure there's no loud noise, making sure the lights are low. I know that in hospitals you can't really take in devices that need to be plugged in. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but you can certainly use this at home. I really want to stay at home as long as possible and to be able to handle it from the comfort of your own home. Because again, being in your own surroundings, your place of calm and safety, and I think being at home in your own surroundings is also something that really helps you to remain calm and to move the labour forward. I really hope that this video will give you a tiny insight into how hypnobirthing can help change a birth from a bad experience to a positive one. I really am no expert in hypnobirthing, but I'm just hoping that by sharing my story you can see that birth can be a more positive experience, a more empowering experience, and you can be in control even though you have this horrendous pain. You know, you can remain in control, you can remain calm, and you can allow your body to do what it needs to do. So go and do a bit more research, get some books, get some tracks, start practicing, and I hope that you find this useful. I am hopefully going to do another video soon where I will talk about home birth. I know a lot of people perhaps don't feel very comfortable about home birth and would always rather be in a hospital. However, I'm sure there are lots of you that have kind of thought about the idea and might want some more information. So I will do a video about home birth because that was an amazing experience alongside the hypnobirth. But thank you so much for watching, and please do go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I will upload a lot more content for you and hopefully be able to share some good tips and advice with you. But thank you so much for watching, and see you soon.